I realized that in healing myself, I was healing my mind and healing my soul. The joy that overcame me in that moment was so charged that the tears that came down my face were filled with such emotion.
Healing Our Lives Through Inner Stillness interview with Jiulio Consiglio, part 2 of 2. Continue watching to find out more.
Welcome to the concluding episode of Healing Our Lives Through Inner Stillness, as we continue our discussion with renowned spiritual author, workshop facilitator, and teacher, Mr. Jiulio Consiglio. In the previous episode, Mr. Consiglio described how, after a series of painful events, he experienced a sudden, unfathomable spiritual awakening that forever changed his life. On today's program, Jiulio shares insights on how others can also become spiritually awakened. He believes there are two primary paths to enlightenment.
So there are two ways to approach enlightenment or awakening. One is to work towards it consciously. So moment by moment, you practice meditation and you practice going beyond the ego. The other way is through great suffering. And through great suffering, one can create the perfect atmosphere for spontaneous awakening where one transcends thought. It starts with realizing that there is another level of awareness or another frequency that you can tune into. In this reality, we've been conditioned through the ego that there is reality to the past and reality to the future. This conditioning has been going on for millennia, for thousands of years. But knowing that there is now another frequency that you can tune into, and it is one of peace, one of wisdom, one of understanding, that gives you now something to create a desire to experience in your life if you are seeking to make a shift or a change.
After his personal awakening, Jiulio realized the critical importance of living in the present moment.
When I made the shift and realized the eternal moment of now, the grand realization is that everything that has ever happened, everything that will happen, is happening in this one instance known as the eternal moment of now. And in that moment of now, in that one instant, everything is happening. It's only unfolding. Time appears, time and space appear to be what the isness or what is in this reality. But the miracle is that everything is actually happening in one moment. So when you tune into that nowness, into that instant, you realize the miracle of life, and then you realize you are oneness with a power that is beyond imagination. There are no words to describe it because it's formless, but it is an awareness, and it is connected with every human being and everything.
Through his books and workshops, Jiulio encourages others to meditate because through meditation, people can contact their inner stillness.
Inner stillness is a reflection of the inner being within you. Inner stillness is that quiet, that inner peace that is reflected when one goes beyond the conditioned mind or the ego. And its attributes are inner peace, clarity, wisdom, and understanding. It is a state of mind, and it is a moment-by-moment awareness of the highest self. So in that moment, living virtually breath by breath, one can, through hyper-awareness of the present moment, one can tune into the frequency of inner stillness. There are many forms of meditation, but this meditation is literally a wakeful one. So you are aware of the frequency of inner stillness, and you're simply aware of that quiet melody of peace that's in the background, that's always present.
When we meditate, how can we come to this state of inner stillness? And what are the benefits of being in this state? Jiulio explains.
Literally, the mind is like a radio dial, and one can tune into, place their focus on worry, one can focus on anxiety, one can focus on the past. But when you are aware that you are a creative being and your thoughts and emotions carry weight to them, one realizes the benefit of tuning into higher frequency, the main step or the main way is to become profoundly aware of the eternal moment of now. When you are tuned in or operating from inner stillness, or as I describe it also as the quantum field, you are operating beyond the ego. So there is no identity. You transcend the body. You realize the body is temporary. It's not eternal. You're not who you were. You're not your job. You're beyond all that. So you're actually operating from pure consciousness. When you're operating from pure consciousness, you are now in complete alignment with the all that is. And the all that is wisdom, is peace, is stillness, is understanding. So that is then allowed to fill your mind. So now you become mindful. You become mindful of spirit. And that is reflected in everything you do.
We'll take a moment now to meditate in the warm sunshine and be back after the following message. Welcome back to our program. After his spontaneous spiritual awakening, Jiulio experienced several remarkable changes.
So about a month after I had made the shift, I was experiencing automatic writing. I was experiencing mystical events. And this particular day, I was meditating deeply on my sister's couch one morning. And I suddenly experienced a vision. I actually received sort of information on what the ego was. But then I experienced an image of a wall crumbling, and it actually said ego across it. And when that happened, I experienced a vision of placing my hand on my forehead on myself, who was sitting in a wheelchair. And I saw myself in that vision healing myself. And the minute I saw that, those automatic awarenesses came to me that I was actually experiencing a healing. And I realized that in healing myself, I was healing my mind and healing my soul. The joy that overcame me in that moment was so charged that the tears that came down my face were filled with such emotion. I actually ended up with burn marks on my cheeks for a few days. It's been a life of miracles when I look back. Everything has been one synchronicity after another. There's no other way I can describe it.
As his spiritual journey continued, Jiulio began to discover many new abilities, one of which was automatic writing.
Automatic writing is basically you are surrendering or letting go and allowing the highest self to express itself through you. So shortly after I transcended thought, I'd be driving on the highway and suddenly be led to grab a pen, and I would automatically start writing. The things that were coming through me I found were quite profound, and it wasn't something that I had learned. It was being expressed spontaneously.
Jiulio is currently writing a new book called The Sixth Chakra. In it, he describes some of the remarkable gifts that come with spiritual awakening.
In this quantum field, there is a lot going on. There are energy circuits. We are all connected through oneness. When one tunes into these higher frequencies, abilities that you never knew existed, like telepathy, precognition, there's a tremendous amount of information in the nothingness, and it's actually a topic I'm discussing in a book I'm writing right now. The book is on third eye activation and how it is the key to mastering and developing psychic abilities. So these abilities, tuning into, for example, spirit guides, being able to read energy, read a situation, is quite beneficial on many levels. Or tuning into, synchronicity, or for example, hearing a song and it reminding you that you're on the right path. You could be driving and read a billboard and it will remind you you're on the right path. It's becoming aware that you are guided and that you're operating in a universe that loves you, and there is nothing but support from the other side.
Due to the current issues of pandemics, climate change, and widespread financial chaos, many people are experiencing suffering. At the conclusion of his interview, Jiulio shared some uplifting thoughts on this topic.
if someone has been experiencing tremendous suffering, if someone has been going through anxiety, if someone has going through some very difficult circumstances, know that these are temporary, and that there is a potential and a possibility within you to transcend and actually take those adversities and use them as catalysts for shifting consciousness. And that shifting consciousness is enlightenment. It is an understanding that you are one with everything and that you are completely supported unconditionally and loved unconditionally. That's the quantum leap, or the shift in consciousness. It already exists within you. One simply has to become more aware and tune into that frequency.
Many thanks, Mr. Jiulio Consiglio, for your positive and insightful words. May you be blessed for uplifting the spirits of those whose lives you touch. For more information about Mr. Jiulio Consiglio, please visit jiulioconsiglio.com. Delightful viewers, thank you for joining us today.